I've just been racially profiled at the airport. Again, I think. I've just landed in Auckland, New Zealand, which is home, after 21 hours of flights. I'm on my way out now to see my parents. They've been waiting here for 3 hours. Got off the flight and then I went to passport control. Everything worked fine. I got my passport checked and then I came out. Welcome to New Zealand, they said, and then I went to pick up my bag. And as I was leaving, someone from customs taps me on the shoulder and tells me, please sir, come with me. And then I'm led to the back of the baggage check and I sit down for 3 hours. And in those 3 hours, everything in my bag, in all of my bags, is taken out and checked thoroughly. My laptop, both of my phones are scanned. That takes about an hour. I'm asked 1,000 questions about where I've come from, who I am, what I do, where I've been traveling the last few months, what I got up to there, who do I know there, and why I'm back here. Throughout the whole process, I wasn't allowed to talk to my parents or call them. I could see they were calling me on my phone maybe like 10 times, worried about whether I had landed, whether I had arrived. And I got told repeatedly that I wasn't allowed, that it was illegal for me to use my phones, which I don't even know if it's true or not. And the thing that really riles me up about all of this is that I'm pretty sure I got stopped because I'm Muslim. To be perfectly honest, I am angry and I'm exhausted and fed up. I can't believe this is still happening. And it needs to stop. Oh, this is Buzz. Let's go.
Moving, 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 though they're disapproving, keep them doggies moving.
So we're just going to ask you a few questions about your recent travels. Basically make sure that you're not a terrorist.
But I'm not a terrorist.
And that's what a terrorist would say.
Good point. Wait, don't write that down. So here's the thing. Airport profiling is nothing new. Remember 9/11? Well, ever since then, security has been ramped up at airports, and ever since then, Muslims and anyone who happens to look vaguely Islamic have experienced a lot of scrutiny while traveling. It's almost become a given that if you have a beard or a headscarf or you're the wrong shade of brown, you're gonna be stopped at the airport, asked a bunch of superimposing questions, have your stuff searched through in a series of #random checks.
I need you to step aside, please. I need to search you. Did I beep? Oh, no, you didn't beep. Just a random security check.
And held up for hours in one of the VIP lounges reserved for only the highest value customers. Now, this isn't saying that other people aren't being stopped or pulled aside. It's not like this only happens to Muslims. But if you happen to fit the profile of a quote-unquote terrorist, then expect to be stopped a lot. Or in some cases, every single time you set foot off a plane. It's kind of like the reverse of first class, where everything is designed to make your flight as long and as uncomfortable as possible. And all of this in order to make your air travel safer and more secure. Except I don't feel any safer. Quite the opposite, I feel like a criminal. Which is exactly the kind of customer service that I expect after paying $2,000 to fly back home.
Fly Muslim and see the world our way, like a Guantanamo Bay inmate.
So I'm meant to be back on holiday in New Zealand right now, but this experience makes me want to reach out to others in the Muslim community and hear their stories. And trust me, there's a lot of stories.
My name is Muhammad Ali. I am a research student at the University of Auckland. The first time was when I was traveling back from home, and the officer kept on asking me why I decided to travel to Tunisia. And I kept on telling him that I'm Tunisian, and then he asked why specifically now, and I told him it's Ramadan. The interaction was not good. It was very bad. It was very negative. And when I tried to complain about it, I got a rejection letter saying that their staff don't behave in that unprofessional manner. So my concerns were not really taken seriously. I mean, every Muslim has to go through this. I thought, for them to double check that, they've got the right person, or I don't know.
So I was taken, and a customs officer went through my bag. He went through all my belongings. The whole process took approximately an hour and a half. It just felt like they didn't really know what they were looking for.
I was surprised to be stopped by the New Zealand customs for about 3 hours. Out of the whole flight, it was only me and this other person. And you could tell from the clothes that he was wearing that he was a Muslim. So I felt a little bit shaken.
This issue isn't anything new. The community here has been trying to talk to the government for almost 2 years, not just about airport profiling, but about other security concerns like the changes to the counter-terrorism laws, government surveillance, harassment by the security services, and in some cases, the planting of informants in local mosques around the country to spy on the Muslim community. All of this was leaving Muslims in New Zealand feeling rattled. I've covered this issue a lot as a journalist. I broke stories, I made a podcast, I even did a poem about my love-hate relationship with customs officers. Dear Airport Customs Officer, I know you want me. Look at those sensual lips. So at the end of 2016, a group started an initiative to open dialogue with different government agencies and hear the grievances coming out of the Muslim community.
The project started off after stories were becoming increasingly prevalent about Muslim individuals and families getting stopped at the airport. I spoke with one woman who was stopped for 8 hours with a child, and her child was not allowed to go to the bathroom. So by the end of it, the kid was keeling over in pain. And as we were talking to this woman, she just ended up breaking down in tears because, like I said, this is quite traumatizing. And this kind of trauma is hard to understand for people who are not experiencing it, but particularly for people who are in power. So people who are in control of these processes in customs. For a lot of people, the common theme that we hear is they don't feel like they're at home anymore.
I'll introduce myself, Deborah Manning. I'm a lawyer and I'm on the management board of the Human Rights Foundation. We've been conducting a series of roundtables discussions with the relevant officials from these agencies hosted at the Human Rights Commission, and they have given us a lot of time and meetings to talk about this issue. The concern from the community is that they're being stopped because they're from the Muslim community. Maybe they've been travelling to a country that's under some concern. They don't know. We don't know actually. Because we don't have access to what is flagging people up to be stopped and set down to lane 4. It seems pretty clear that people have been identified before they arrive back at the border.
So, having talked to Deborah now and seen the kind of work that she has been involved with, I can't really do this without going and talking to the Syrian community. Now, the Syrians here in New Zealand and elsewhere around the world have borne the brunt of government counter-terrorism programs, which includes what happens with government agencies like customs.
Assalamu alaikum. How are you? How are you? Come in. Welcome. Come in. My name is Saeed Shama and I work as a mechanic. I've had, so many Syrian friends and family as well. Almost every person out of my family that have travelled outside of New Zealand has had this done to him. My brother-in-law just went to Sydney for 2 weeks, and when he came back, they stopped him in the airport for a couple of hours, which was quite surprising because when I asked the customs officer why I was being stopped, and she told me that anybody that comes from the Middle East area is checked that way. So he did not go to the Middle East, he just went to Sydney for 2 weeks. I think it's really degrading the way they do it at the airport after a really long flight. I know they're doing this for the security of the country, but at least explain more. Why are they targeting people from a certain country or a certain religion?
One of the things Deborah Manning told me was that customs had promised her they'd change their protocol, that people would be allowed to call their family members after 20 minutes, and that they don't hold anyone in questioning for more than an hour. One problem though, both of these things are wrong, because I was held for 3 hours and I wasn't allowed to use my phone that entire time. So either the customs department isn't telling the truth, or they have no idea what their staff is doing on the ground.
So it's really important that if that's not occurring, that the traveller asks to speak to the supervisor, escalates it up, every floor has a supervisor, or you raise it with someone afterwards. The only way I think we're going to see real improvement and real change is if people start reporting in a timely way their experiences when they arrive in through the airport, so that we've got actual case examples to work with.
And here's another thing. What happened to me wasn't random. I wasn't taken out of a queue. I was literally tapped on the shoulder in the middle of the terminal. The customs officer was waiting for me to arrive. He knew what I'd look like, what flight I was getting off, what time I'd be leaving. That's a little creepy. And there's no indication that it's not gonna happen again. That I shouldn't expect to be stopped and searched every time I fly back home.
That's another totally random search for you, and hey, that makes 10. You know what that means?
Wow! Oh my God! What do I win?
So, please remove your clothes.
Wait, what? I've been living in New Zealand for most of my life. I came here when I was 8. I've spent my formative years here with my loving family. I learned how to be myself, to be part of a community and to grow. I got my citizenship in 2003, a promise that I was now the same as everyone else, treated with dignity and a sense of belonging. And for the most part, I felt like I was part of this country. But as soon as I step back into an airport terminal, it feels like all of that is suspended. No longer does my passport mean anything. Here, I have to watch what I say, how I dress, how I behave. Here, I don't feel like a traveler returning home. I feel like a threat, a suspect that is guilty until proven innocent. And it sucks. And this isn't just my experience. This is happening all over the world. Muslims young and old are still being treated with suspicion wherever they go. It's almost become a joke.
Oh no, we're in trouble. Always get a random check when I rock the stubble.
And I don't want this to just be about me, but I hope that if I talk about my experience, it could add to the ongoing conversation about racial and religious profiling. Have you ever been stopped at an airport? What did that experience feel like? Did it suck? Or did you agree with it? Let me know what you think. Hey guys, thank you for watching this episode. This means a lot to me because I get to go back home and do this. If you liked it, comment, subscribe, share, you know the deal, and we'll see you next week.